It's After Dark on Rock Range Radio. This is Joshua, Crystal, and Nikki. How's everybody doing? We got the legendary Brandyn Chaos.
Legendary in my own mind, maybe.
How you doing, John?
Welcome
And John, the American Hilljack here, as always.
Jack.
It's our custody weekend.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
man.
I
We
like
actually
We
had
had
to go
negotiated very well. Your lawyers did well.
Mediation did awesome for
Yes.
us, dude. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We missed you last week.
I missed you guys. Yeah, I did listen, enjoyed it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was hanging out with my son last weekend. Got to do some father bonding time. He goes to YSU for engineering.
Very nice.
He's my retirement plan.
Go Penguins.
Yes. So, what's new in the world of After Dark? What are we jiving about this weekend?
Well, there's a lot of things going on, and me and Brandyn have joked about it somewhat on Facebook with a lot of flat balls in the in the media.
Deflated balls.
I notice. I love when people are so distraught about something like the Super Bowl and flat balls, and while the country's just going to shit.
Smoke screen.
Yeah, let's look over here while we screw you.
Right.
That was my original thing. And actually, the new story out is that they were inspected before and approved. So why they're flat?
Well, and now they're saying that they took them out at halftime.
Yeah, that totally kept them from
The
tackling
referees just
the
probably
other.
got paid. You're like, it's another Super Bowl. Let's just see what happens. Papa John's is doing good.
A few weeks before that, the refs were out partying with the owners of the Cowboys.
Right. I still think it's my original theory is that it's much like wrestling, only more in depth.
Oh
Very
yes.
elaborate
It's getting that
reality
way.
show.
I don't think the regular
Most of them
season
are.
is set up, but I'm thinking the playoffs.
It's like an episode.
It's rigged.
It's an
Yes.
episode.
Yeah.
And you
I
know there's going to
only-
be a lockout. That's season 2. Like,
I
shoot,
only
like,
agree
there's
with
a
that
lockout.
because right after 9/11, it was the Patriots.
Yeah.
And
Was
the
it
New
the
York
Gi-
Giants. It
yeah,
was
was-
New York
yeah, it
and
was
the
the Giants,
Patriots.
yeah.
Like, really? I'm not.
And neither one
Patriots
of them-
won.
And the Patriots won.
Yep.
Yes, look, we're
Yep.
Patriots and Americans.
Exactly. They
Not
try to,
bad.
like you said, it's the old smokescreen. Let's see who's getting the most ratings. What
It was the new
you
Ebola.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Things
Exactly.
were going on in politics. We had
That
the
Ebola,
State of
like-
the Union. We had State of the Union. There's the football balls.
Ebola's like
We had-
toast, I think.
But
Ebola.
it is. But it was all big during the November 4th
for
election.
5 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
Until the elections were over, and then no more Ebola.
And everybody in Ohio was panicking that went and got a wedding dress.
And you know what? There was one casualty to the Ebola scare in Akron, and it was the store that she
Yeah,
went
that was
to
it.
closed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Never
ridiculous.
lived past, and that's terrible. It's terrible. She closed. I don't know.
It's a shame. It really
It
is.
is a shame. Somebody lost their
Fucks the
livelihood
local
because
economy.
somebody wanted to fly a plane to Akron.
It's-
Akron?
Of all places in the
And
world.
wedding?
Akron,
What-
Ohio.
I know, it sounds like a lawsuit.
I shouldn't say anything now that I semi-reside there, but yeah, it is what it is.
It's too close to home, let's just say that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, what's been up with you?
Well, doing the old school thing, trying to keep up with all that. Got to present in front of Mark Viviano, and of course, Prezi took a nice big old dump on me in the middle of the presentation. I almost passed out, but I made it through. And he said, so we got a B plus, and I never get a B plus, so I was happy with that. The Hellfire Club has actually got a bass player coming tomorrow. I'm actually excited. Coming at noon, guy that played in End of Days and a couple other bands. So I'm kind of excited. So hopefully we'll be
I've heard
back
of
End
out.
of Days.
They go to
I
the same
love
school,
them.
yes. We go to the
Yeah,
same- they go to the
this
same
guy,
school.
he contacted us.
Wow.
We've had a couple other bass players come, but I'm not trying to be a jerk. It has nothing. We're at this
It
point.
sounds like you're a jerk.
Well, I'm always a jerk, but we're at the point where the four of us get along real well, and you can have that one person that's going to spoil the apple cart. Period. So if you bring in that one person, you're just going to spend the whole time, either dragging this person along, arguing and fighting, and so. Now that we're older and a little bit wiser, we still want to have fun, but it's a business now. I want money. I ain't gonna lie to you people. The days of going out till 3 a.m. for a handshake and you did good. Now, I got 6 kids and bills to pay.
Oh, boy.
I just want to play covers at proms now that I'm older.
Dude,
Be home and in bed by 11.
What would be your ultimate cover? What would you cover?
Oh God, I've done so many covers
But
like in my 20 years of playing music. Actually, probably my favorite cover to ever play is "Ballad of Jane" by LA Guns.
nice.
Yeah,
And this is Brandyn Chaos.
Brandyn
speaking.
Chaos.
Represent.
We were just listening to crazy covers before you got here.
I'm not big on covers.
You know,
I do what makes the money.
There's a
I
big
know.
debate right
I
now. There's a big debate right now on the Youngstown music scene about cover bands versus original bands.
Right.
And we just recently had our first annual Youngstown Music Awards.
And Huck and Philbilly's
And
cleaned up.
Huck and Philbillies did clean up their cover band. And, a lot of the winners were from cover bands from various
but,
categories. And
Jimmy's band,
Love Turns
Tate,
Hate, they
also
are
won some
original.
stuff, and they're original, and,
Yeah.
and they're very good.
But a lot of the guys that play in original bands are starting a fuss over it, and I'm trying to moderate and trying to get everybody on good terms. But this debate's just going on and on and on.
So
I do. My band does the 50-50 thing, you know, and I ain't gonna lie. I could care less about the covers, so per se, but I also know at this point in the game, yeah, let's be honest, how many people can you draw out with original stuff if you don't have the proper promotion behind it? And
It's true.
Yeah,
That
but if you
and
sound good, you can get away with a lot
You-
of good stuff.
You know what, though?
not like it used to be. People don't want to. The
You gotta
economy
re-
is what
you
it
gotta bring
is.
back, though.
you know?
Sometimes you got to step back
Yeah.
and go forward.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Rockstar?
Yeah.
See, I love what Mark Wahlberg's character says. You know, we play the covers to get people in the door, and then we hit them with an original.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do.
I agree with that.
You
You
know?
have to showcase your talent with what they know
Exactly.
And then
to
they pick
get
up
them
the
to
vibe.
listen
Right,
to
right.
what you
Yeah.
create.
But I hate-
don't think that. I mean,
I hate
they
that
both
bands
have their
that
place.
the only thing I have about bands that play covers and originals, the bands that play covers that are popular covers and their originals sound like crap, not even close to what they're covering.
Well, and that's where their
Yeah.
fans,
You know?
their fans should come and say, "Hey, that's crap."
You know, that's what
Right.
That's where
we
fans
build.
or
We
no
build our
fans.
set around what our originals are. The covers we pick are around what our originals are. I'm not saying we're any scientists or we're swag scientific guess but at the same time, yeah, I watch all these other bands throughout the scene that try to do the similar type things, and the way they do it, if you're picking songs that are top 40 songs and your covers your originals don't sound like top 40, you're driving your own crowd out. You
Yeah.
know, that's
I
that's
just
bottom
found-
40. You know.
We were just. That's what I was saying. We were listening to. There was one. It's Kesha and Pitbull, and it's
Timber.
Just, and it's
Yeah.
a screamo. It's a
Screamo,
screamo
yep.
cover.
Oh,
and
jeez.
It's
Horrid.
it's so bad that it's. I don't know. I like it because it's
I think
funny.
some of those pop punk and screamo covers of pop songs are actually they're fun.
Roar
Yeah.
was actually good. Someone
Yeah.
did a screamo version of Katy Perry's Roar. That was good.
My favorite is Devil Wears Prada, though. Devil Wears Prada, what's the song?
I like Devil.
Oh, crap. They just it's a remix. It's a, yeah.
Remix.
Devil Wears Prada.
Baby, one more time.
No, it's not Baby One More Time. It's like a rap song, but they turned it into a rock song. It's on Pop Goes
Pop Goes
Crunk.
Punk.
Crunk. Pop Goes Crunk.
Oh.
And then
Yeah,
it's
I-
like heavy metal mixed. Devil
I
Wears Prada.
I have that CD.
Oh, shit.
I really liked Scary Kids Scaring Kids version of
I do
Notorious
like-
Thugs.
Yeah.
That was really good.
That was good too.
I don't know that one.
I know. I'm gonna have to look.
Have
this
you
up.
seen,
No clue.
what's that one?
Look
Always
up
Falling
Punko's
Back-
Pop.
Falling in Reverse.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
They did
I haven't heard of that.
Gangsta's Paradise.
Yeah, that song's the shit. I
You
love
know,
that.
you know what kills that whole CD? That Punko's '90s too.
Yeah.
Dude, Motionless in White did Du Hast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, don't.
I have to check
yeah,
that out.
Yeah.
Dude,
like-
man.
Is it terrible?
Yeah.
Oh no, no,
It's
no,
good.
no!
I
It's
didn't
really
like
good.
it. I didn't
I
like
like
it.
the song. I'll
Amazing.
check it out.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
Chris Motionless is a good dude. I like Chris.
Nice.
So tell us what you have going on.
I believe you guys brought me here to talk about a little something called Macabre Fest. Is that correct?
That's what I heard about, but absolutely
Yeah.
anything you want to tell us about.
It's a huge music festival. It's going to be in Warren, Ohio, which is about 45 minutes from here.
There you go.
The location is called Dave Grohl Alley.
That makes me happy.
I was gonna say.
Named for the great Dave Grohl, who is originally from Warren, Ohio.
Right.
He is a fighter of foo.
He is. Yes, he is. Yes, he's living it up in Nirvana, from what I hear.
I just was watching the HBO series with my son last weekend. I just first got to see it. That was great. That thing he did with about the last album.
Oh yeah,
You know that
Sonic Highways.
Sonic Highways.
Yeah.
that was
I've
an
checked it
awesome
out.
series.
No, I haven't
Nice.
seen it.
I don't have
Yeah.
cable. Is that on cable?
Yeah,
I don't have
HBO.
I'm
Yeah.
a
Oh,
Netflix
yeah, I don't have that.
person. Yeah. I watch Netflix.
Yeah.
So what's happening at the festival? Like what?
Yes.
What's
So, there's going to be an indoor stage and an outdoor stage.
Nice.
Bands. We're looking at 25 to 30 bands throughout the day. The great thing about this is it's not your typical music festival. Not at all. Last year was our first year, and I threw in a little something different that you wouldn't see at a music festival. It was I brought in some drag queens
Nice.
Very
and a
cool.
couple of male dancers,
Very cool.
Nice.
and much to my surprise, the crowd absolutely loved them.
I saw.
Oh, no, I believe it.
saw a dancer on your Facebook actually that I know personally.
Which
that
one?
was Skylar.
Ah, yes,
Okay.
Skylar Stiles. He'll actually
I saw that.
he'll be back. He'll be back this year. He's gonna be keeping his clothes on this year. Thank God. So
Aw, I've seen him
But,
perform.
yeah,
I've
he's,
known him since I was little.
he's a very dear friend of mine. He was actually one of the groomsmen of my wedding.
Aw,
He's a
that's
good guy. I've
amazing.
known him a long
That's cool.
time. Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, he'll be back, and he won't be stripping, but he'll be doing a fire show.
Well, that's
Nice.
Cool.
That's
That's
cool.
he's
Yeah.
a good show on his own too. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's really cool that you're.
So he's gonna be doing about a 10-minute fire show.
cool.
10-minute fire show.
Yeah, he's really good at that kind of stuff. We're working on bringing some burlesque dancers.
Sweet.
And then last year I had a couple psychics
That's cool.
that were a huge hit.
That
So
stuff
we're
is
working on
always
bringing
a
them
hit.
back. Yeah. So we're trying to bring them back for
So-
this year.
So what's some of these bands that you're bringing in?
Some of the bands. The main headliners, there's three of them. The big one, though, that they're huge. They've been around for nearly 20 years now. They're called Kitchen Knife Conspiracy.
Nice.
Nice.
They're along the lines of death metal. They refer to themselves as stomp core. They're a phenomenal band.
Genres we have today. I can't
Yeah.
keep all you guys straight anymore. Subgenres.
Another one of the bands that's going to be headlining is Slander. These guys are a rap, metal, funk, reggae fusion.
That's cool. We just,
Nice.
They existed from 99 to 2001, broke up in 2001 in the fall, and I've been working for about 12 years to get them to do a reunion show. Finally got it. It's kind of hard. The guys are all spread out. Two of them are in Youngstown, two of them are in Columbus, and then one lives all the way out in
but you
Washington.
got 'em.
But I got them.
But you got 'em. That's,
Nice.
They've been practicing via Skype.
yeah, dude. Like, yeah.
We didn't have that technology 12 years ago.
No kidding.
Yeah, we couldn't do that, but yeah, they're practicing via Skype now. They're working on it. The other headliner is they're a fairly new band. They've really only been around about year and a half. They're called Baroque Monody. Female-fronted sludge metal / post-punk.
So,
It's like Clutch meets The Smiths
what about I Wrestled
with a female singer.
Sounds like I Wrestled a Bear.
Not even close.
No? All right.
No, not even close.
You ever heard of them? I Wrestled
Yes.
a Bear once.
No.
You've asked us that before.
It's a lead singer. It's a woman lead singer.
Yeah.
She reaps like she's
No,
a good.
this is
Send me
way
send me
different.
Send me some. I'll listen to it.
Yeah, you guys would like them. They're really good. They're fun, and their music is a bit mysterious. Their debut album, Empress Emperor, is based off of tarot cards.
That's
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah,
That is cool.
and there's 3 Empress songs. They're kind of like. I'm trying to describe it the way that their guitar player described it to me. Their songs are written by Jenny, the lead singer. It's 3 of those songs, and then the Emperor songs were written by Rick, their guitar player,
Right.
and he calls that side B.
All right.
Like a tape deck.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah,
That's cool.
But it's
That's cool.
it's something you would really like, Josh, because you're into like really weird, strange
I
things.
am.
Yeah,
Josh likes the concept.
But
of
like,
things.
it's not that. I think it's I think more than I think, way outside the box. It gets to a rhombus and then pentagon, and then it gets to crazier.
But they're like the thinking man's rock. But they're heavy enough.
Track, I like that.
They're heavy enough that they
like
could they could do a festival sort of thing. They're nice. I had them last year. They're the only band that's returning from last year. I had 3 full bands last year and an acoustic guy. Unfortunately, one of the bands I had last year broke up.
No, that happened.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's a shame because they were going strong.
Sounds a lot like Akron.
The band was going strong. They were doing really well, and then there were some internal issues, and they broke up. And then the other band, they went on hiatus because 2 of the guys left for college. One of which is in medical school. So,
yeah,
I'm like, dude, go do that instead of the music thing, man.
Trust me. Yeah, 23 years. I own a few things, but not a lot.
But yeah, Baroque Monody was there last year, and there's a lot of other great bands that I have booked so far. A newer pop punk band that I'm really looking forward to seeing. They're actually playing at Cedars in Youngstown tonight. I'm unfortunately unable to make it. They're called Panty Dropping Rock Brigade.
Nice.
They win the prize for the best band name ever. Yeah. Their lead singer's been a good friend of mine for like 15 years now. He's played in a lot of bands in Youngstown that everyone's heard of. Livid, Rounding Third, Anchor Against Tragedy.
Rounding Third was good.
Yeah.
I liked them.
Yeah, pop punk sort of stuff. They're fun. Yeah. Good party music.
Being from the Pittsburgh area and going in between Pittsburgh and Akron all these years, I get to catch a lot of those. And then, Rounding Third was a real good band.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, like you said about bands. Me personally, even though I play in bands, there's local bands that I find myself attached to and I like.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, in short time, in these last 5 years, I've seen so many bands come and go. It's
you can't get attached to anybody.
Yeah,
as
soon as
so quickly, it's like okay, but
some of the local bands that I came up on my teens and early 20s, like Side from Akron.
Yeah, oh yeah,
phenomenal. Lasted many years. Hackle's a great dude.
I've known Hackle a long time. We just played with them up his Nikki Revolver.
Nikki Revolver, yeah.
And then Matt Muckle, who I've known since I was 6 years old, who's now playing with Sixth Sense, who is the singer of that band. Scott Boyd was in Whiskey High that I just was talking about online today.
It's like the Matrix, music Matrix.
That was back. Well, you got to understand the Pittsburgh area. Like you guys over here had Out of the Blue and bands like that.
Yeah.
We had Whiskey High. Whiskey High came out of nowhere. At the time, there was Triple X and High Voltage with Nick Catanese, who went on to play with Black Label Society. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Whiskey High came out of nowhere. And for almost 20 years, they were the most packing band around that area. Now, Scott Boyd, that originally sang with them, was only with them, for I think the first 8 years, and then Chris Dittman came in. Scooby, and then they had Bones. What's his real name?
Some bones.
I can't think all these people's real names.
You're like the encyclopedia for regional.
Oh yeah, I mean these guys. When they shared the sketch today, you got to remember. This is all I wanted to do my whole life. All I wanted to do was music. I didn't want to do nothing else. And I was in high school, and Whiskey High was playing in my area at Ricky's in Ford City, and I was just listening to the disc on the way up, recording a live disc, and they re-released it, called it Live in '92. And I remember, fortunately by 8th grade I could grow a full beard, so me getting into a bar was not a problem. So I go and watch these guys, and at the time I was a drummer, so I never thought I was ever going to be a singer. And I'd watch Richie play, and I thought, man, if I could just do what these guys are doing, I had made it. That's in my mind, that high school mind. And then I became a singer, and watching Scott, he was amazing. He was phenomenal. And that's these guys influenced me more than a lot of the national acts I listened to, because that's how I learned to do. I'd watch these guys. That's how I learned to run my sets that I even do today. That's where I first got to. Run 3 or 4 songs together. Do this, do that. The big Vegas ending on the sea. That's where I learned that from, was those guys. It wasn't it wasn't the national acts. It was guys I was so by the time I got out of high school, I was playing in clubs by the time I was in 10th grade. So by the time I got out of high school and started fronting bands, that was my education. That was my, people don't, for me, going to college for me at that point was going out watching all the local guys that were successful and building off of that. And fortunate enough, I got, 23 years in the business. I've been all around the world. I'm not big and famous by far no means, but I got to see things and I got to perform things. And to me, these were the guys that did it for me. That's the way I look at it. If I went and saw these guys and learned from them, that's why, like I always say, every national act was a local band at one time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I say that all the time.
And you never know. Like Nick Catney's, people don't. It's a true story. He really emailed Zach. He was in this band called Black Sunday at the time, an Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath tribute. And I was there at the bunker the last night that he played with them. They were breaking up. He was totally distraught. He was like, "Oh man!" He goes home and he emails Zach Wild and says, "Hey, I'm a guitar player. People say I sound like you. If you ever need a rhythm guitar player, give me a call." And he did, and that's literally, you can go on the Black Label site. That's literally how Nick got into the band, just by giving. And it was the email through Metal's Edge magazine. It wasn't even like, personal email. It was a fan email site. And so you got to take the shot. And he was a local guy. Look, now he's one of the biggest guitar players in the world.
Who was your biggest influencer?
Well, before we get to that, let's take a break.
Okay.
Identify the station.
Look at that teaser right there.
And on that bombshell,
look at that teaser.
We're going to go to break. We're here with the American Hilljack, John Lane.
No, you're here with Brandyn.
I was getting to that.
She was getting there, man.
You gotta warm
Don't jump
them
the
up.
gun, bro.
You gotta warm them up. You gotta heat up the oven, homeboy. You have 6 kids. You know that. Come
He
on.
was telling us
Dude, I haven't heated enough an oven in so long.
You got almost as many kids as Miss Wayans.
Yeah.
he's got his own Brady Bunch.
Jeez.
That's awesome.
Everybody's got to have their hobbies.
Nice.
We'll be back to talk more about the concert that Brandyn Chaos is putting on after
Excited.
this
Hell yes.
station break. This is After Dark on Rock Rage Radio, and we'll be back.
Sunday. Here we are. It's After Dark with Nikki Darling,
I totally-
Crystal, Josh, the American Hilljack, and our special guest, Brandyn.
Brandyn Chaos.
Bringing down the house.
Yeah.
I totally tried to get in there with you, and I failed.
Epic fail.
Sunday.
You gotta get that like low.
I have the worst man voice ever, so I wasn't.
You
even
can't do
gonna-
the
Sunday.
Like Macho Man Randy Savage type deal, like stepping in the sleigh. Oh yeah.
Ric Flair.
I can do it.
We
You
were
just don't
totally
wanna
trying
hear
to
it.
find
I wanna hear it.
Ric Flair. For whatever reason, we were talking about him, and all I typed in to find out his name was the wrestler that says "woo."
It popped right up.
Googled.
That's awesome.
Woo!
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Drinking blood vessel over there. Watch it.
You
I
look
know,
like you're
that's
about to
the
have
way
a
you can do
stroke,
it, though,
man.
because that's how he did his voice. He was like that in real life, man. I mean, he was constant like that. That's why him and Elizabeth
Why he hit the
didn't
tree.
stay together. You know?
Oh! Too soon?
No, not too soon
Okay.
at all. Heart exploded, and that was it. You know?
He snapped into a tree.
And that wasn't steroid related. Big healthy guy has a heart issue. Figure that. You know.
Well, we are back with Brandyn Chaos, and he has got.
here.
And your show is June 13th.
No, it's oh my god. What's the day? July 11th.
I'm completely
Wow.
way off.
Well, there is a festival on June 13th
Okay,
in
I
Youngstown,
was like,
yeah.
Am I mental?
There's so many great local music festivals in Youngstown actually.
Well, plug 'em.
So, yeah.
We're cool with that.
I don't even know the name of that one, but it's June 13th and it's a charity one,
Okay.
which is really cool.
Let's talk about your concert.
Mine, okay.
What's going on with this? What's happening?
Well, what else do you guys want to know?
Yeah, he told
Like
us all
some
the
of the
bands.
bands. Oh, I didn't,
Yeah, the
Finally
names
got
are
I
it
didn't
right.
say I didn't say all of the bands.
Teaser bands.
Zero Set Memory. They're kind of a grungy alternative rock.
Okay.
We need some help here. Do you remember the names of any of the bands? Among the Fallen. They're like a thrash metal.
Oh, I know who that is, I think.
The Spectral Type. They're fairly new. They're out of Hermitage, PA. They're like a
My old stomping
technical
grounds.
progressive metal. Unfortunately, there are some bands that I wanted to get really bad, but they couldn't because of scheduling issues.
Yeah, summers with festivals and stuff is tough.
Well, one of my favorite newer metal bands, these guys have been on the scene for a long time. They've played in various local bands. They're called Woodside Manor. I was trying to get them, but their drummer is going to be out of town that weekend. But, yeah, those guys have played in, like, the New Pharmacy and Cyrus and all kinds of other great local bands.
I got a question. How do
I
you
like
get
New
the bands?
Pharmacy.
How do I get the bands?
Yeah, like, do you just go out, call them, keep going to, like, you know what,
A lot of
this
it's
band.
Yeah, I came up with a list of bands that I really like from, and there's so many of them. There's
It's hard to
hundreds.
choose.
It's hard to keep up.
Yeah,
bands.
so
It's
I
so hard to
I
keep
limited
up.
my list to like 100 bands I wanted to contact, and I kind of put them in order of
Importance.
not importance, but because I want to bring in bands that are lesser known and bands that draw huge crowds.
Right.
That's why I have Kitchen Knife Conspiracy as one of the main headliners, because I know they're going to draw a tremendous crowd. But then I have some lesser known bands like Zero Set Memory, and they're actually headlining the inside stage.
Right.
I like them. They're good dudes. They're a fun band, and maybe headlining that stage, they'll get a crowd in there because they'll be right before Baroque Monody, which is the first headlining band that plays that night. So maybe they'll get a decent crowd.
You have a
People will
strategy.
discover them. Yeah. I've been to so many festivals in my life, and I've helped put together a few. I've worked with Vex Fest, which was a huge festival in Youngstown for, they did 10 years. They did it.
Nice.
And it's no more, and that's kind of why I decided to do this, because Vex Fest went under. But the way a lot of these festivals do is they'll start off with the bands that nobody's heard of. And then they move on throughout the day, and they get more and more popular. I want it to be spread out through the entire day. I'm going to throw up a pretty popular band as the first band for the day, because I want to maintain the crowd for the entire day, and I want people to discover bands that they probably never would have heard of.
So that's
See,
the way
that
to
makes
do
more
it.
sense to me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because if you start out...
Yeah, and I've
You're like the
passed
stepping
up,
stone.
and I've passed up some bands that are huge drawing bands, because I want to keep some diversity too. Like I could have easily gotten Metal Mafia or Psychosis. I love both those bands.
What?
I say nothing.
But I love both those bands, and they draw huge crowds.
They do.
But I wanted to throw in some lesser-known bands, give some other bands a shot. I mean,
That's cool.
Metal Mafia and Psychosis are playing all the time.
They
so-
are. That's actually
Yeah.
what I paused for, because you said you could have easily gotten them
Yeah.
just like everyone else.
Exactly, and I
They
want
came to you, though. Think of that.
But
When you got
yeah,
them.
and
You
That's
said,
I
not
have
a bad thing. I didn't
Right.
mean it like a bad thing. It's
Yeah.
just they're playing out.
and I have a ton of metal bands, so I want to throw in some other stuff. Like we've got a jazz band called the
Nice.
Pickups.
I like that.
Nice, man.
Yeah, they're like a jazz blues mixed in there. Their bass player switches between an electric and a stand-up bass.
All right.
They've got a 15-year-old guitar player
wow.
and then a female vocalist. They're just phenomenal. They're one of the bands they're playing inside.
Nice.
Yeah, and I should actually plug the inside stage. I keep talking about it. It's a place called the Lime Tree Sandwich Gallery. It's
Interesting.
I like them.
it's
I know.
it's a hipster sort of
Sounds
bar.
like that.
Lime
They have
tree.
awesome
That's cool.
food.
All right.
The owner, Tom Ross, is a great dude. He also owns a graphic design company. Yeah, and we've partnered up with them, and so we're having the indoor stage at the Lime Tree, outdoor stage right in Dave Grohl Alley,
Great.
with a great view
That's
of the
pretty cool.
world's largest drumsticks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
what they
know.
all say. That's what they all say.
In Youngstown?
Warren.
Warren?
Yeah.
Ironic. I want to go.
I don't know. Have you guys ever seen Dave Grohl Alley?
I've never been there.
I've never been there.
It's
No.
it's like a clusterfuck of artwork. There's amazing artwork, murals and paintings and just graffiti art, and there's some statues. There's a statue of, it's like a bronze plated statue of Dave Grohl.
I heard
Playing the
somebody
drums.
sabotaged it
Yes.
not too long ago.
Yes.
That's a bummer.
It
Yeah.
was. I was like,
And then we had a
What
benefit
did he
to
do?
get it fixed. They caught the guy that did it.
yay.
But a lot of the artwork there has been done by a good friend of mine named Aaron Shine. He's a tattoo artist and painter. There's been a few documentaries made about him,
Loves
actually.
tattoos.
He's a great dude.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Chinebox Inc. in Austin,
That'd be that
Ohio.
networking thing that no one else does that we get told to do at OCB.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you got all
Networking
that.
is awesome. It's like the Matrix.
Well, when I was in school for marketing, I went to school for entertainment marketing, and one of the first things that the instructor said the first day of class was network.
Right.
Everybody
Get
you
out
meet,
there, talk to
make
them.
friends with them. Don't piss anybody off.
Have fun. Do what you
You
gotta
meet
do.
the same people on the way down as you do on the way up.
Absolutely.
Well, when I first started that class, I really picked up on that, and so every year I've made my goal to meet one new person for every day of that year.
Well, you're one of the first people to talk to me at OCB.
Yeah.
I was there for
cool.
a couple days, and people looked at me like I was the devil.
Yeah.
And and as I was,
Maybe his friend.
but I wasn't doing my usual. I was being quiet, not talking to anybody. So I
usually
couldn't
the
figure out. I
problem.
hadn't even got the chance to offend anybody. Yet, But Brandon, I was out back smoking.
Yeah.
And you come out back.
But like one day you might meet 7 people, and then you won't meet anybody for like 2 or 3 days. But you're meeting one new person for every day of the year, and I like that concept. That's something that he taught me, my instructor, and never piss anybody off.
Right.
So I try to be cool with everybody, be friends with everybody.
Me too.
It's a good strategy to have.
It is. It really is.
And it helps out when you're doing something like this. You're putting together a music festival,
Right.
and then if if you've pissed a lot of people off, you got to look at them like, okay, which bands haven't I pissed
Right.
off? Or
Or which
Yeah.
bands have
Which-
not the
Who
last.
wants to
which-
deal with that kind of drama?
which band do you think is over me pissing them off? Yeah,
I just try to be Switzerland when it comes to stuff.
yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
get into anybody's drama.
I have a bad habit of.
Yeah.
I had a bad habit for years of saying things on stage I shouldn't have said. You get a few beers in me, and sometimes
Mike, it gives us power.
Yeah, I become a politician. I just speak first. Let someone fix it later. But unfortunately, when you're not a huge band, you're always the one that has to end up fixing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the ideas I had early on with this year's festival was, after I booked Slander, I said, well, hey, why don't I contact all these old bands that I loved seeing when I was a teenager and in my early 20s that have been long since broken up?
Could you imagine
And,
getting cinematic?
I tried.
I
tried.
Awesome. Oh my
But,
god.
I
dude.
was like, I love these bands, and a lot of them are still friends. They may be spread out all over the state or the country or whatever, but they're all still friends.
Right.
Let's see if we could do 2 outdoor stages, and one will be just a strictly a throwback stage.
That's cool.
And that sort of fell through. I had about 8 bands that were tentative. They had one guy that they couldn't get a hold of or something, and then it started falling apart. So I said, well, we've got Slander this year. I'm going to see about maybe in the future, now that Lazarus has done a reunion show, Left End did a reunion show. Maybe get some of these bands on for future gigs. I think it'd be really cool.
It's hard. I have no problem with going back and playing with different guys I worked with, but man, I've gone through that several times. There'll be somebody from an old band say, "Oh, let's do something," and there's always that one guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to work with him, or there's always something so minor and so stupid. It's like, dude, we're not getting together, to do a huge tour. We're doing one show. You can't keep your mouth shut and get along for one show. Come on, man.
Well, several months ago, I tried to get my old band Leviticus back there. That's probably the most successful band I've ever been in, and I just wanted the core 4 people that were the main guys in the band, because we had a bit of a revolving door there for a while. And so I contacted them, we had a group message on Facebook. The bass player was like, well, I haven't played in years. I don't even own any equipment. And we're like, all right, that's fine. Is it cool if we just throw in another bass player? He's like, yeah, that's fine, And then the drummer, who was in and out of prison for a while, he was on, and then he's like, no, I don't
I thought you
really.
said you never played with Muck.
Oh.
Well, funny thing, when the drummer was like, well, I don't think I'm going to do it now. So we're like, well, let's get Muck to do it. And Muck was on for a little bit, and then he was playing with Red Sun Rising, and then,
Right.
So then I got together with the guitar player, who's my cousin Spider. We got together a few times and started working on some old stuff and some new stuff, and things weren't quite working out, so we decided to scrap the reunion idea.
Dude, it's hard.
Sometimes
It's
the
hard to
memories of what you had just don't
live up to
fit.
what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. And
Me-
Well, you
Me,
know what?
it's
You know
like a
why the
picture.
Beatles never got back together? They were offered several reunions in the '70s,
Half of them
and
are gone.
well, this is before
I
any of them
mean,
died.
I
But
mean,
Paul
before
and
that,
John
half
had
of them are
talked
gone.
about it, and
Right.
they said we don't want to trash our reputation.
Right.
That's
Yeah, because once you start not getting along, it starts getting in the public. You start losing that shine that the Beatles would have lost had they got back together.
Not only that, what if they got back together and they made an album that was a total dud? Nobody wanted to hear it.
Then they turn into
Saint Anger.
Oh, I like Limp Bizkit.
I do too. That's the thing
I like
do.
Stampede of the Disco Elephants, buddy.
When he first came out, awesome. I loved it.
When he first came out.
Yeah, but I mean,
I still like their new shit. I like their new shit.
They were just at
So with the festival, are you planning on going on tour with it?
I wish. I really wish I could.
What's your ideal?
I actually have a 5-year plan with my company, Chaos Culture Entertainment.
Dig it.
Within a year, I want to launch a satellite radio station dedicated to unsigned music nationwide.
That's the That'd be
the rule will be even if you're signed to the shittiest small independent label, you're excluded from being played.
There's shitty small labels
only.
out there that don't do nothing for you.
Right,
that don't do nothing for you, but
I got a question.
Okay.
How do you depict what's a good song from a bad song with these upcoming artists?
Oh, of course.
Because you can't be like
That's
it's.
the problem.
You have somebody. Well, you have somebody who's in charge of deciding if it's good. I mean, you go on like Reverb Nation, you got some guy that's electric guitar singing over shitty distortion and it's out of tune with a really bad drummer. That's the kind of stuff we aren't going to play. I mean, if it's good enough to be played on the radio,
I thought you said you didn't hang around Akron much.
Oh. But if it's unsigned and it's good enough to be played on the radio, then yeah, we'll play it.
Right.
I was gonna say you're gonna get no offense, a lot of shitty sounding.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what we've found is that when they're unsigned, their basement is pretty much used.
Well, I mean, if it's not recorded in a decent studio, then
Panasonic tape deck, some of these Akron guys, they're in the studio.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly,
Absolutely.
exactly. But you're not at the point where you should be played on the radio yet. Yeah.
Yeah, we can start.
Keep practicing. I mean, every kid that plays music starts out playing shitty Nirvana covers in their basement. We've all done it. Or
they strive to be on The Voice, which is
That's even worse. Don't get me started on those.
I like the Nirvana
talent shows.
I like the garage band sounding.
Yeah.
I wish that more kids would just go out.
It's coming
garage
back.
For me, it was sitting in my parents' basement playing Poison covers.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's how I started.
That's worse.
Yeah.
Right, just go out there and do it.
Instead of thinking they can stand in line and become famous.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so frustrating.
But I want to encourage these young independent and unsigned artists to get out there and make a name for themselves. And within 2 years, I want to have my own TV studio almost and launch a Roku channel of just independent artists. I'll have crews that will film music videos. We'll do like a talk show or something. Just have various different things going on. Maybe some live performances, stuff like that. That's my 2-year plan.
Bringing out the new, I like it.
Yeah, and then after 5 years, I want it to be big enough to where I can do an East Coast Macabre Fest and a West Coast Macabre Fest. I want to be able to expand.
Man, you gotta keep it
well, the East Coast it'll technically be. I'm going to keep it in the Youngstown area.
What's after Ohio? Choose a state. What state do you want to go next?
Well, I'm already working on Michigan and Pennsylvania right now. Just a few weeks ago, I have a podcast and I interviewed a friend of mine who played in a Detroit metal band for years. So I'm kind of introducing him a little bit to my audience. And then I've got a friend in Pittsburgh, plays in a band called Echoes Never Lie. They're actually rated the #1 live band.
Very
in
good
Pittsburgh.
band.
Yeah. Female-fronted band. So, yeah, I'm working on actually getting them to Macabre Fest this year.
That's cool.
Very excited about that. So I'm branching out a little bit into Pennsylvania.
Are you still looking for bands for the current festival right now?
Right now, yeah, kind of. I mean...
I have a name for you.
Uh-oh.
Their manager's out of Youngstown. So
Okay.
I'll tell you later. Unless I should just...
You could blurt it out on me.
Blurt it out.
Losing September.
Never heard of them.
They're from Indiana, but their manager's in Youngstown.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're around Akron
good.
a lot. They're coming back pretty soon.
They're one of my favorite local
Way
bands.
to go, John.
Okay. I'll have to check them out.
Having something long and hard beside me.
Thank you.
Oh.
Well, on that, getting Jeremy Clarkson over here. On that note, we're going to go to break. So you can say the station ID. You can send us out, John.
Send us out.
Rock Rage Radio, where it's always rocking. Stick around. It only gets better after dark.
After dark, we are at the tail end of our show, but we are going to let Brandon tell us what he's got going on coming up in the next few months and plug everything.
Well, I've talked about Macabre Fest a lot.
No, that's what you're here for.
I guess I could plug it some more. It's July 11th at Dave Grohl Alley in Warren. And I guess I'm going to put this out there. We are working on getting Dave Grohl there.
That would be awesome.
Cool.
He likes
wouldn't be mad.
He likes being a part of everything that goes on there because it is named after him.
It's his alley, right?
Yeah, and so
That's right, up his
we're
alley.
working with his publicist trying to get him there.
That's cool.
So hopefully that all goes through.
I think that we should everyone bombard his Facebook pages with
Send that energy.
Even if he doesn't play.
Hashtag.
Just to show up.
Yes, just a meet and greet.
Right,
you know,
absolutely.
I think that would be fantastic. So everyone who's listening, bombard him.
bombard Dave Grohl, get him back to Warren.
Even just MC.
Yeah.
That'd be
Welcome,
fun.
everybody.
I would-
He would die happy.
I would raise the extra funds to do it.
He's probably a very nice guy. I don't want to date
He's
him.
extremely
I
nice.
just think he's a nice
He's
guy.
extremely nice. I've met him twice. He at the dedication ceremony for the alley.
I
He
don't
was
like
there.
him no more.
He actually got up and played drums with Love Turns Hate for a little bit.
Oh, that'd have been awesome.
Yeah, there's video of that on YouTube actually. But yeah, he's a super nice guy, real down to earth, supports the community, which is awesome. So we're trying to get him there.
So the
hopefully
opposite
that
of
goes
River.
through. Oh!
He does a great cover of Darling Nikki.
Yes, he does. And Baker Street. So yeah, you can look up Macabre Fest on Facebook. And for those of you that don't know how to spell it, it's MACABRE Fest. Yeah.
And
A lot of
you
people mispronounce it. Macabre. Yeah.
Macabre.
Yeah.
We don't talk to those people.
Yeah. Those are weirdos. Chaos Nation Entertainment is also on Facebook.
We can even plug your show.
Yes, I could. Well, I'm going to talk about Chaos Culture Entertainment for a second. It started out as a webzine, and we're actually kind of working back towards that, working on staffing it. Just local, independent, underground music. We are working on booking more and more shows throughout the year, besides just Macabre Fest.
Nice.
Just, spreading the word, promoting other shows that other people put on. Like supporting your local music in Youngstown. They put on a lot of shows, so we plug everything that they do.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. I host a weekly podcast on iHeartRadio called The Midnight Hour with Brandyn Chaos.
There you go.
And I spell my name with a Y instead of an O, so it's Brandyn.
You're an actor, too.
Brandyn Chaos. I am an actor.
You are.
I was in a movie
He's a character.
recently. Yes.
He was yes.
I tried. I was in the Hammerhead trilogy.
Yeah,
that was a fun movie.
I saw that on IMDb.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's-
hey,
I
that
heard
is
of that
on
movie.
IMDb.
Yeah, me too. I don't know why.
it's pretty
You
cool.
can plug it.
You can totally plug it. I
Sure.
mean,
You could plug it.
that's what I'm
Joshua.
doing. The Hammerhead trilogy is a short film.
You can buy it on Amazon for $9.99.
You just got his copy.
Yes. We have children we have to feed, so
We do.
so buy the movie.
By the movie, have fun. We're out
Share the
there
link.
though.
The kids
Yeah,
always
yes.
want heat and they want food. I just don't understand it.
But here's the best thing about Macabre Fest, though. It's free.
Really? That's awesome, dude.
I'm keeping with the tradition of Vex Fest, which is, I'll say the parent festival to this. This was my inspiration. Last year we did it. It was indoors. It was 3 bands, 1 acoustic guy, and then some dancers. And we charged $5 for pre-sale, $7 at the door. And I thought that was a little ridiculous. Honestly, it's nice for bands to make money, but I don't think that bars or festivals or clubs or anything should charge an insane amount of money for you to see a local band. You know, especially if it's
Agreed.
something you've never heard of.
Agreed.
You know, so we're keeping with the tradition of Vex Fest. It's gonna be free.
Awesome.
Right on.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
look forward to it. Keep
And
us
excited.
in the loop
Yeah.
about it.
And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Brandyn_Chaos. So I will keep everybody up to date on what's going on with Macabre Fest and Chaos Culture.
You gotta bring in some shirts, man. We gotta bring in some shirts here so we can be like Rock Rage Radio represents
Yes.
Macabre Fest.
Yeah, well, there will be shirts this year.
Nice.
We'll give some away. We can give
That'd be
some away.
fun.
Get them at your
Yeah,
show. Give
that'd
a
be
ticket
fun.
and a T-shirt.
Well, there's no tickets because it's free.
Well,
Free, yeah.
But you can-
clearly.
But
Through you,
We-
though, I think they should do a DVD.
yeah,
If they missed the show.
yeah.
There you go.
But well, there actually will be a VIP hot tub party with Slander, so there's gonna be a charge for that. It's gonna be a $20 thing. We're gonna give away a pair of
Get
tickets
into
for
a
that.
hot tub with a dirty band.
Let's do it.
They are a
Oh,
dirty
let's
band.
do
I'm
it.
just kidding.
They are a dirty band.
Let's do it.
Well,
Their drummer Joe Carbon is one of my very, very best friends, and he is one dirty hippie motherfucker with dreads down to his ass.
we're making hippie soup. $20 a pop.
But yeah, if you guys want to get into a hot tub with Joe Carbon's dirty ass, it's $20. But we will be giving away a pair of tickets for that.
Nice.
I haven't figured out how we're going to do that, but we're going to do that. But there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff. Like I said, there's going to be a fire show and
You're pumped,
psychic.
man.
Dude, I'm psyched. I can't wait. This was my dream from the beginning of this whole thing. So
I want to go for the
Yeah.
fire shows.
the fire show will be great. And you know Skylar, so you'll enjoy that. And we're going to have a dunk tank, and you're going to dunk some of the bands.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
that's cool.
fun. You should
Probably
go.
me once I get a few drinks in me. I like
I'd
to
dunk you.
sit in a dunk tank and scream obscenities and call guys faggots and pussies. That's what I do. I did that once last summer. It was fun. And then the guys, bought me drinks afterwards. It was fun.
Mostly you get someone what after you get them the drink.
Yeah, usually.
They did it
Yeah.
backwards, but I respect that.
Yeah.
At least you got the drinks.
You did. He
I
did.
did.
Get it.
You got the free drinks. That's the.
I deserved it after breaking 2 toes in that thing.
Wow.
Oh my
Nice.
God,
Yeah.
it's vicious.
It was
It was
fun.
in the water, man.
Yeah, dude. That thing was. Dude, okay. There was a show at this bar in Warren called Uncle Sill's.
nice
Uh,
place.
Yeah, my friends at Amnesty for Astronauts were playing, the Days Before Empires were playing, and the Adam Jacobs Band out of Columbus.
Cool.
And we started drinking about 2 in the afternoon.
Day drinking.
So, yeah, about midnight, I was completely hammered and decided it was a good idea to get in the dunk tank and start, calling these guys homos and
Calling
pussies
them,
and, yeah. And these dudes were the biggest bodybuilder-looking dudes in the place.
That's always
But
fun.
they dunked me. I broke 2 toes and had some drinks, and I was walking around the bar in my boxers with my dong hanging out.
But you got the drinks.
But I got the bartender's number,
There you go.
and she was hot.
Anyway,
I don't know.
How are we gonna?
And on that bombshell, well, until next week, we have Tropidelic next week on the show. That'll be fun.
It's gonna
Good
get
times.
crazy.
It's what, reggae, ska,
Rock.
jazz, rock,
A little bit hip-hop in
compilation,
there.
ass
Yeah.
clapping. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
ass
Ass
clapping.
clapping?
Yeah.
Ass clapping something.
Good music. I like it. Very
I
sublime.
have to go out and see them sometime.
They're going to be in Youngstown
They
very
are.
soon.
They're
Yeah.
actually gonna be partying in the park in Paynesville coming up.
See, I'm in Youngstown, so I'm going to see them
Yeah,
in
right,
Youngstown, not
right.
Painesville. Yeah.
And they'll be at the Agora soon as well.
Right.
It's next month. And this is coming up July 11th.
July 11th.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
A
until
lot of
next
shows.
week, there
A lot
is
of
so
fun.
much going
It's gonna
on.
be a good year. I'm Joshua.
Crystal. What are you
What
trying to say my
I don't
name?
know. I'm just going
We're
around.
gonna introduce ourselves at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lose John next week. He's going
Well,
to
you
his
never
other
know.
family.
No, you never
No.
know.
Oh,
I
all
might
right.
be
I'm
here.
not-
I'm not promising anything.
I'm not selling you
I'm
short.
definitely, always eager to do things, even when I'm not here. I just need more direction. I'm very hard
Left.
focused.
Go left.
I always go left. That's what got me
Can't go right,
6
go
kids
left.
and 3 different women. I'm trying to go right.
And always wear a rubber.
Yeah. I didn't even know those things were invented until after the 6th kid came out. And that was my
I don't think I've
problem.
worn one since '99.
Basically, never
And
get a
we
no
leave on another dick joke.
We
We'll
do.
see you
Like,
next
what's up
week
with
on
that?
After Dark with Nikki and Josh and John and Crystal.
RockRageRadio.com.
Yeah, right.
Oh shit.
Hi, this is Brandon Chaos. You're listening to After Dark on Rock Rage Radio.